New developments in the mid-air mystery tonight after a jet with 150 people on board crashes in the Alps. This evening, an urgent search for answers has begun. And ABC's chief foreign correspondent, Terry Moran, is on the ground with the latest details on the investigation.
Good evening, Byron. Here at the airport, family members have gathered, while out at the crash site in the French Alps, recovery workers are camped out overnight among the debris and the wreckage, waiting for first light to begin the grim task of bringing the loved ones home. Rescuers on board a helicopter flying high into the Alps, searching, hoping for signs of life. But sifting through the wreckage along the rugged ridges of this remote mountain area, some of the debris still smoldering, the plane just obliterated, it was clear all are lost. Scattered among the rocks, parts of the tail and the fuselage. You see the plane's windows and a bit of the Germanwings logo. Tonight, one of the black boxes found holding some of the clues of why Flight 9525 carrying 150 people mysteriously crashed. On board, 2 babies, families, and a high school group returning from a class trip. At the airport here in Dusseldorf, anguish, frantic relatives looking for news. The flight was a routinely operated route, only 1 hour, 37-minute flight from Barcelona in Spain to Dusseldorf in Germany. On the flight deck, the captain had more than 10 years of experience with 6,000 flight hours. But 44 minutes into the flight, something went wrong. At 10:45 a.m. local time, the plane rapidly descends from a cruising altitude of 38,000 feet at a rate of 400 miles per hour.
An emergency descent is usually something that we do if there's a rapid depressurization at altitude, because you can't breathe normally above 27,000 feet, even with an oxygen mask on in the back. So we got to get you down quickly. But also, you could end up doing an emergency descent for other reasons. For instance, you've got smoke in the cockpit, a suspected electrical fire, and you need to get down and ventilate the cabin and turn off the air conditioners.
10:53 a.m., the plane loses contact with French radar. In just a matter of minutes, the plane has reportedly dropped 32,000 feet. What happened next is still a mystery.
To me, the most mysterious part are really twofold. Number one, why was there no radio call out of the airplane to air traffic control to coordinate their obviously emergency descent? Secondly, why did they go under 14 or 15,000 feet in an area of obviously high terrain and all the way down to 6,800 feet?
Local eyewitnesses describe what happened next. I saw the plane come out from over there, and it was really low in altitude, this man says. And then we heard a very loud sound like dynamite, she says. 30 minutes later, French Interior Ministry helicopters were on site above the crash. The plane involved was an Airbus A320, one of the most common in the world, with nearly 4,000 currently in operation.
The fact is, these aircraft can go many, many decades of service before it's time to retire them. And this was a midlife aircraft in terms of the amount of time it had been in the air.
At 6:26, the first images of the debris field broadcast on French television.
Un Airbus A320 de la compagnie allemande Germanwings.
News of the accident quickly spread to the El Prat airport in Barcelona, where the plane took off just hours ago.
It's a terrible loss about those people who crashed in the airplane.
And in the German town of Haltern, at this school, an unimaginable heartbreak. 16 10th graders and 2 of their teachers studying Spanish, returning home after an exchange program, and now they are all gone. Today, their town mayor could only say,
"Es ist, wenn Sie so wollen, ein
it is pretty much the worst thing you could imagine." These images highlight the force of the crash of this plane, a once 77-ton airliner now reduced to bits and pieces.
The debris field clearly says that this airplane impacted the terrain and controlled flight at a very high speed, probably someplace above 425 miles an hour.
ABC's Hamish McDonald traveled to the crash site 3 hours from the local airport.
There's something like well over 700 people working on this recovery effort. There's helicopters from the military, lots of hardware. For all of that, though, they're still needing to walk in by foot to get to the crash site.
Every day, 93,000 flights take off and land without any problem. But over the past 12 months, 3 disastrous airplane crashes. Last December, AirAsia Flight 8501, an Airbus A320, crashed into the Java Sea after allegedly stalling midair with 162 fatalities. That jet took off from Surabaya in Indonesia, soaring to an altitude of 32,000 feet. After leveling off, the plane encountered severe turbulence. The pilot apparently radios in, requesting to change altitude to 38,000 feet. Air traffic control tells him not to, but he appears to climb anyway. Then air traffic control suddenly loses communication and the plane is no longer visible on the radar. It vanished into thin air. 162 people, mostly Indonesians, all gone. AirAsia, which is based out of Malaysia, has had a good safety record and the pilot was experienced.
In 30 years, we've carried 220 million people, and until today, we've never lost a life.
Search and rescue teams worked for days, pulling debris and casualties out of the water. The investigation on the cause of this crash is ongoing. This month marks the one-year anniversary of Malaysia Air Flight 370, a Boeing 777 carrying 239 passengers and crew that mysteriously vanished from radar. The search has already cost $100 million, but so far only 40% of the planned search area has been completed. Despite this, officials are staying the course.
We owe it to the families of the dead. We owe it to the travelling public to do whatever we reasonably can.
This month, a new report indicated that the batteries on the black boxes triggering those important pingers had expired months before the plane went missing. And the focus now on the Germanwings flight that crashed today and those 150 people on board. At 8:03 p.m., the search and rescue operation ended for the day. 24 investigators camping out in near freezing temperatures. Tomorrow, the French president, the German chancellor, and the Spanish prime minister are expected to visit the crash site. Tonight, the families gathering here in Germany, looking for answers. For Nightline, I'm Terry Moran in Dusseldorf, Germany.